Long-time lurker, first-time poster. I never thought I'd be the type of person to spill my guts online, but I just found out something so insane that if I don't get it out somewhere, I might actually explode. Let me start by saying my husband Jason is an absolute piece of work. You know those guys who think they're the smartest person in every room? That's him. Brash, loud, a salesman at heart. He could probably sell an ice cube to a polar bear if you let him talk long enough. When we first met, I thought it was charming confidence, you know? Now I just see it for what it is. A man who lies as easily as he breathes. So, tonight I was doing something super thrilling, going through our finances because Jason is useless with money. We have a joint account where we put our savings, and I usually check in every now and then to make sure he's not impulse buying another set of golf clubs or investing in some dumb crypto scheme. That's when I saw it. A $5,000 transfer labeled Heart and Hope Foundation. Huh. Weird. Jason doesn't donate to charity. Hell. He once argued with a Girl Scout over the price of Thin Mints, but I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was some work thing? A tax write-off? I googled the name. Nothing. No website, no social media, no records. Just a single sketchy-looking business listing tied to some generic office address downtown. At this point my stomach was doing gymnastics. I dug deeper. Multiple transactions over the last 6 months. Some were smaller. $1, $500 here, $2,000 there, but all to the same charity. In total, over $50,000. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. Jason's always been secretive about money, but this was something else. Then the final nail in the coffin. Buried in the transaction details, I found a mailing address. Not our house, not his office, but a random apartment across town. I copied the address, pasted it into Google Maps, and just stared. I knew this place. Or rather, I knew who lived there. Lauren. Jason's colleague. The same Lauren he swore up and down was just a friend from work. The same one who showed up to our Christmas party in a dress that screamed, "I'm sleeping with your husband," and laughed just a little too hard at his jokes. I closed my laptop, my hands shaking. I wanted to rage, scream, throw my coffee mug at the wall. But instead I took a deep breath and did something I knew Jason would never expect. I smiled. Because Jason, that smug, lying idiot, he thinks he's getting away with this. He has no idea that he's just made the biggest mistake of his life. So after discovering that my lying, cheating husband has been funneling our savings into a fake charity to fund his mistress, I spent a full hour staring at the ceiling, debating whether to just light all his clothes on fire in the driveway and call it a night. But no. That would be too easy. Jason thinks he's untouchable. He's talked his way out of so many situations, spun so many ridiculous stories, and somehow always managed to land on his feet. Not this time. I'm going to burn his life down, but carefully, methodically, like a woman who has nothing to lose. I wasn't about to confront Jason without the full picture. No, I needed proof, evidence that would make it impossible for him to weasel his way out of this. I started with the charity. Heart and Hope Foundation. No website. No online presence. But I had the address from the transactions. A generic office building downtown. Weird. I searched the property records. Turns out it was a shared workspace. One of those places that rents out tiny offices to freelancers and startups. So not a real charity. Just a front. Next, I checked our banking history again. The payments were regular, spaced out over 6 months. All transferring into an account tied to H&H Holdings, LLC. H&H Holdings? A different name? At that point, something clicked in my brain. I did a business lookup for the LLC. And guess what? Jason was listed as the owner. I nearly choked on my own rage. So let me get this straight. My lying, cheating husband created a fake company, disguised it as a charity, and has been stealing our savings to fund his little love nest with Lauren? I took a deep breath. My hands were shaking, but my mind was crystal clear. Game. Freaking. On. Jason came home a few hours later, whistling like he hadn't just committed financial fraud. I was in the kitchen, casually sipping tea like I wasn't plotting his complete destruction. "Hey babe," he said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. I let him because I am an actress now. "Hey, you're home late," I said, my voice perfectly normal. "Work ran late," he said, grabbing a beer from the fridge. "Merger stuff, you know how it is." Merger stuff. The audacity. I almost laughed in his face, but instead I just nodded. Makes sense. Jason smiled. He actually smiled. I wanted to shove his beer bottle somewhere unpleasant. Instead I played along. Kept things light. Asked about his day. Pretended I hadn't just found out he's been embezzling our money to play sugar daddy for his mistress. Because I needed more. I needed everything. The next day while Jason was at work, aka probably at Lauren's apartment eating avocado toast and being disgusting, I got to work. I started pulling everything: bank statements, tax records, email correspondence. I took screenshots, printed documents, and backed up every single receipt I could find. And then jackpot. A receipt for a $7,800 diamond necklace. The shipping address? Lauren's apartment. I actually had to sit down for a minute. He bought her a diamond necklace. With our money. I wanted to scream, but instead I called Sarah my best friend and the only person who would fully support the level of crime I was about to commit. Sarah picked up on the first ring. Hey, what's up? I took a breath. Jason is funneling our money into a fake charity that he owns to pay for his mistress. There was a pause. Then very calmly Sarah said, Okay, so how do we ruin him? This is why she's my best friend. I told her everything: the fake charity, the LLC, the transactions, the diamond necklace. Jesus Christ, she muttered. He is actually so dumb. He left all this evidence just lying around. Yep. There was another pause and then, Emily, you have to bury this man. Oh, don't worry, I said, my voice deadly calm. That's exactly what I'm doing. At this point I had enough proof to take to a lawyer. But I wanted to make sure there was no possible way Jason could slither out of this. So I took things one step further. I contacted Detective Reynolds, a financial investigator that Sarah's cousin had worked with before. Told him I had some information on a potential case of fraud and financial misconduct. He agreed to meet. So yeah, that's where I am now. Jason has no idea what's coming. He still walks around our house like he's untouchable, making stupid jokes, kissing my cheek, texting Lauren under the table like I can't see his reflection in the damn microwave. But oh, he's going to find out soon. And I can't freaking wait. So quick recap. My husband Jason is a lying, cheating idiot who funneled our savings into a fake charity that he actually owns so he could fund his mistress, Lauren. After playing detective, I now have bank statements, tax records, and a receipt for a $7,800 diamond necklace that was sent directly to Lauren's apartment. Oh, and I also contacted a financial investigator. Because if I'm taking this man down, I'm doing it properly. But here's the thing. Jason has been getting away with things for years because he's so damn confident in his ability to lie his way out of anything. If I confront him now, he'll just spin some ridiculous story, gaslight me, and somehow make me feel guilty for not trusting him. Not this time. I needed more. I needed so much proof that when I finally confronted him, there would be no escape hatch, no loophole, no last-minute save. I needed to build the case airtight. The next day, while Jason was at work, which I now strongly suspect is just Lauren's apartment, I got to work. I took the financial trail I had and started cross-referencing it with Jason's calendar and text records from our phone bill. Turns out, every time he made a payment to Heart and Hope, he had some excuse for working late. The worst part? I had actually believed him. God, I was so stupid. Anyway, moving on. Next, I took a deep dive into Lauren, the mistress. I already knew she lived in that apartment, but I wanted to see if Jason had done anything else for her. Oh boy. I found an invoice for rent payments. Jason wasn't just buying her gifts. He was paying her damn rent. With our money. I saw red. I had to physically put my head down on the kitchen counter for a full 5 minutes before I could function like a normal human again. When I called Sarah, she actually screamed. He is paying her rent? She shrieked. Emily, do you know what this means? That my husband is a full-time sugar daddy and I need to drown him in the nearest body of water? That and, Sarah was typing furiously in the background, that we now have proof of financial misconduct. This isn't just cheating. It's literally fraud. If you divorce him, you could obliterate him in court. That was exactly what I needed to hear. So that night, Jason comes home, all smug and confident like he hasn't been stealing from me to fund his side chick's lifestyle. And you know what this absolute clown does? He pulls me into a hug and sighs like he's exhausted. Long day. he mutters, pressing a kiss to my temple. I had to close my eyes and count to 5 so I didn't actually rip his face off. Oh, I said, playing along. Work stuff. Yeah, he said, rubbing his neck like he was so stressed. It's been brutal. The merger is killing me. The merger. This man has no merger. The only thing he's merging is his wallet with Lauren's bank account. I smiled sweetly. You should take a break, babe. Maybe a vacation. Jason perked up at that. Because he's so dumb. He thought I was being the sweet, supportive wife, instead of plotting his complete and utter downfall. That actually sounds amazing, he said, stretching. Maybe somewhere warm? Yeah. Maybe hell, Jason. The next morning, Sarah came over, armed with coffee and a burning hatred for my husband. All right, she said, setting down her laptop. We have a lot, but we need more. More? I have bank statements. I have proof he's paying her rent. What more do I need? She gave me a look. Emily, you know how Jason operates. If we confront him now, he's gonna lie through his teeth and somehow make it look like you're the crazy one. What we need is to catch him in the act. And that's when she said the words that changed everything. Emily, she said slowly, we should set a trap. A trap. I blinked at her. Like spy movie stuff? Exactly. And that's how we decided on phase 3. Catch Jason in 4K. Sarah had a genius idea. I was going to pretend to go out of town for a girls' trip. Nothing major, just an overnight thing. But the second I left, Jason would go straight to Lauren's place. Guaranteed. And when he did, Sarah and I would be watching. I booked a fake hotel stay and left just enough clues for Jason to think I was really going. Even talked about it over dinner, casually mentioning how excited I was. The next day I packed a bag, kissed Jason goodbye, the audacity of this man, and left. Except I didn't. Instead, Sarah and I parked a few streets away from Lauren's apartment and waited. 1 hour later, Jason's car pulled into the lot. And guess what he was carrying? A damn gift bag. A gift bag. For his mistress. With our money. Sarah grabbed my arm. Emily, she whispered. You're shaking. As I was. Because seeing it in person, watching him walk into that apartment, all happy and confident, like he wasn't committing financial treason, it hit different. Sarah pulled out her phone. I got photos. Time-stamped. You ready for the next step? I clenched my jaw. Yeah, I said. It's time to call Detective Reynolds. With everything I had now, the bank records, the receipts, the emails, the text logs, and now actual photos of Jason entering his mistress's apartment with gifts, Detective Reynolds had everything he needed to start an official investigation into Jason's financial fraud. The second that happens, Jason's entire world is going to collapse. He has no idea. He thinks he's the mastermind of some grand scheme. That I'm just his clueless, loving wife who doesn't suspect a thing. He doesn't know that I watched him walk into Lauren's apartment with his little gift bag. He doesn't know that my fake girls trip was a setup. He doesn't know that I have a lawyer ready to rip him to shreds. And best of all, he doesn't know that his downfall has already begun. I know I left you all hanging, but trust me, things have escalated. To recap, my husband, Jason the lying weasel, has been stealing our savings and funneling it into a fake charity that he actually owns to fund his mistress, Lauren. I played detective and found bank records, rent payments for Lauren's apartment, and a $7,800 diamond necklace bought with our money. I set a trap, told Jason I was going on a girls' trip, watched him walk straight into Lauren's apartment with a gift bag like the absolute clown that he is. Oh, and I have a financial investigator, Detective Reynolds, who is officially building a case against him. Jason has no idea that I have been meticulously documenting every single detail of his downfall. But now, it's time to make sure the law is on my side. The morning after I watched my disgusting excuse of a husband skip into his mistress's apartment, I made an appointment with a divorce attorney, Melissa Carter, who came highly recommended by Sarah's cousin, who went through a nightmare divorce and still came out on top. The second I sat down in her office, Melissa gave me one look and said, "This isn't just a divorce case, is it?" "No, Melissa. No, it is not." I laid everything out, the fake charity, the embezzlement, the affair, the bank transfers, the rent payments, the freaking diamond necklace. Melissa's eyes actually lit up halfway through my explanation. "Emily," she said, "you're sitting on a potential criminal case. Go on. I said, sipping the strongest coffee I have ever had in my life. She leaned forward. Jason isn't just cheating. He's committing financial fraud against you, and possibly even against the IRS if he's been writing off these transactions as charitable donations. I blinked. So, you're telling me I could ruin him in 2 different ways? Melissa smiled. Potentially 3 if he's been using company funds too. We'll get to that. I have never loved a lawyer more. We mapped out my plan of attack. 1. Secure my finances. Jason still had access to our joint accounts, so step 1 was cutting him off before he could drain what's left. 2. Compile more evidence. Reynolds had already started investigating, but Melissa wanted even more documentation before filing. 3. Set up the legal side of the sting operation. 'Cause that's right. I wasn't just going to divorce him. I was going to catch him red-handed in a crime. I called Detective Reynolds after leaving Melissa's office. Funny timing, he said when he picked up. I was about to call you. We ran a check on H&H Holdings. My stomach clenched. And he let out a low whistle. Your husband might be dumber than we thought. Oh, this I had to hear. Turns out Jason, in his infinite arrogance, didn't even bother hiding his fake charity properly. The transactions were so blatant that it looked like he hadn't expected anyone to ever check. And worse? Reynolds found possible tax fraud. See, Jason had listed Heart and Hope as a non-profit organization, which means he might have been writing off the money he sent to Lauren as charitable donations. So to recap, Jason funneled our money into a fake charity. He paid for his mistress's rent, jewelry, and God knows what else. He might have committed tax fraud in the process. I was no longer just dealing with a cheating husband. I was dealing with a soon-to-be federal investigation. I actually had to sit down and breathe through my nose so I didn't laugh like a maniac in my car. Reynolds said he'd keep digging, but his advice? Get ready for this to explode. Oh, I was ready. I spent the next few days preparing. Step 1. I opened a new bank account and moved all my personal funds out of Jason's reach. I also got Melissa to file paperwork freezing our joint assets, so Jason couldn't withdraw another dime without my consent. Step 2. I compiled every single transaction, email and text exchange I could get my hands on. Melissa told me that the stronger my case, the easier it would be to destroy him in court. Step 3. I took a page from Jason's own playbook. I set up a new transaction, a very tempting, very obvious $150,000 transfer into Heart and Hope, marked as donations under investigation. Reynolds and his team were now watching Jason's fake charity account like hawks. And when Jason tries to withdraw that money, they'll be waiting. Now you might be wondering, has Jason noticed anything yet? Short answer, not really. Because he is a cocky, overconfident moron. Long answer. He started getting paranoid a few days after I froze the accounts. He came home all stiff and fake casual, kissed my cheek and then said, "Hey babe, weird thing. Our joint account is having some issues. You change anything?" I blinked at him innocently. "Oh, that's strange. Maybe you should call the bank." He laughed. Like this was some tiny inconvenience. Like he wasn't about to be completely obliterated in less than a week. But then, he got distant. Started watching me a little more carefully. Jason knows something is off. He knows I'm not acting the same. But you know what's hilarious? He still thinks he's in control. So here's where we are. Melissa is finalizing the divorce papers. Detective Reynolds is watching Jason's fake charity account for any movement. The IRS has been informed that Jason might be committing tax fraud. I have a financial paper trail that is so damning it might as well be a confession. The trap is officially set. And Jason has no freaking clue that in a few days he's going to walk straight into a bank, and straight into his own arrest. I am so ready for this. If you've been following my saga, you know that my lying, cheating, fraud-committing husband Jason is about to have the worst day of his life. Quick recap for the new people. Jason created a fake charity and has been funneling our savings into it to pay for his mistress, Lauren. I found bank statements, tax records, rent payments, and even a $7,800 diamond necklace that he bought for her. I contacted Detective Reynolds, a financial investigator, and Melissa Carter, my lawyer, who are now building a fraud case against Jason. Oh, and Jason is likely committing tax fraud, so the IRS might be interested too. I set a trap. I transferred $150,000 into Jason's fake charity account, labeling it as a donation under investigation. The second Jason tries to withdraw it, the authorities will be waiting. And today is the day he falls. So, let me tell you just how stupidly predictable Jason is. Last night, he strutted into the house grinning like an idiot. "Hey babe," he said, pulling me into one of his fake lazy kisses. "Had a good day?" "Oh Jason, if only you knew." "Great day," I said, smiling sweetly. "Actually, I made a big decision." His eyebrows lifted. "Oh yeah." I nodded. "I decided to start donating more to charity. You know, to Heart and Hope." Jason froze. It was subtle, just a quick flicker in his expression, but I saw it. He recovered fast, though. "Wow, babe, that's really generous of you." "Oh, I just felt inspired," I said, shrugging. "So I sent a big donation today. 6 figures. Jason's eyes widened just slightly, but then he smiled. This dumb man thought I was actually giving him more money to spend on Lauren. "You're amazing," he said, kissing me again. "That's wow. That'll really help the cause." "Oh, it'll help, all right." The next morning, Jason left early. He claimed he had meetings, but we all know where he was going. The bank. I knew this because Detective Reynolds was already there, waiting for him. Sarah and I were parked across the street, watching from my car. The tension was thrilling. 10:43 a.m. Jason pulls into the bank parking lot. He walks inside, confident as ever, thinking he's about to cash out. 10:52 a.m. He's still inside. 11:05 a.m. Reynolds calls me. "He just tried to withdraw the money," he said. "We've got him flagged." My heart raced. And now," Reynolds said, smiling through the phone, "we just sit back and watch the fun." 11:10 a.m. Jason walks out of the bank looking pissed. 11:12 a.m. 2 plainclothes officers step forward. 11:13 a.m. Jason is stopped. 11:14 a.m. Jason is arrested. 11:15 a.m. Jason, who has lied his way out of so many situations before, actually looks shocked as they put the cuffs on him. Sarah grabbed my arm. "Holy shit, Emily, it's happening." We sat there watching as my cheating, thieving idiot of a husband was led to a police car. Jason tried pleading with the officers, but guess what, Jason? It doesn't work when the bank literally has records of your fraud. I rolled down my window just slightly. Jason turned and spotted me. His eyes widened. He knew. I smiled. Then I held up the divorce papers. Jason's face went from confusion to full-on panic. I rolled the window back up and drove away, feeling lighter than I had in years. This isn't the end. Gets even better. Jason is currently in custody. Reynolds says he'll likely be released on bail, but the investigation is in full swing. The IRS has officially been alerted. If Jason was writing off his fake charity as a tax deduction, he's screwed. Melissa has already filed for divorce. I included all of my evidence, which means Jason is looking at losing a lot. Lauren? Oh, Lauren is losing her damn mind. How do I know? Because she called Jason's phone while he was getting arrested. And I answered it. Lauren. Jason? Babe. What's going on? Me, oh hey Lauren. Jason can't come to the phone right now. He's a little tied up. Winking face. Lauren, silence. Me, oh by the way, fun fact, you might want to find a new sugar daddy. Jason's assets? About to be frozen. 4 years Jason has been manipulating, lying, and cheating his way through life. He thought he was untouchable. Not anymore. He is going to lose everything. His money, his reputation, his fake little charity, and his ability to gaslight his way out of this. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a divorce party to plan. I woke up this morning to 25 missed calls, 47 texts, and one extremely satisfying news article. Why? Because Jason, my lying, cheating, fraudulent idiot of a husband, is officially a criminal defendant. Let's rewind a little, shall we? After watching Jason get arrested outside the bank like the absolute moron he is, I went home, poured myself a glass of wine and waited, because I knew what was coming next. At 7:42 p.m. my phone buzzed. Melissa, my lawyer. It's done, she said. Jason's officially been charged with fraud and financial misconduct. Bail. I asked. Oh, he'll be out soon, she said almost gleefully. But the real fun starts now. Because, Emily, the case is airtight. He's screwed. I took a sip of wine. Good. And then, because the universe was truly on my side, Melissa added. Oh, and by the way, the IRS just opened an investigation. I almost spit out my drink. At 10:13 p.m. my phone rang. Jason's name flashed across the screen. Oh, I was ready. I answered, keeping my voice cool and sweet. Meet Jason. What a surprise. Jason. Emily, what the actual hell did you do? Me. Oh, you mean why you're currently facing felony charges? You should probably talk to your lawyer about that. Jason. You set me up. Me. Set you up? Jason, you literally committed fraud. You got yourself arrested. Jason. You transferred the money. That was you. Me. Oh, you mean the $150,000 donation I made to your fake charity? The one you immediately tried to steal? That's on you, buddy. Jason. Breathing heavily because his brain cell is overheating. Me. By the way, have you checked your emails? I filed for divorce. Jason. Emily, please. Me. Oh, also? Lauren called. She's freaking out. Looks like your little girlfriend doesn't want to date a guy facing IRS fraud charges. Tragic. Jason. We can fix this. Me. I actually laughed. Out loud. Oh, Jason. We're way past that. And then? I hung up. I slept like an absolute baby that night. The next day, shit hit the fan. 1. Jason made bail, but his assets were frozen. He got out only to realize he has no money left. Melissa made sure of that. 2. The IRS is officially involved. Turns out, Jason was stupid enough to claim the charity on his taxes. He now has a very fun meeting with federal investigators coming up. 3. Lauren dumped him. And this part? Made my soul happy. According to Sarah, who still has spies in our old social circle, Lauren bailed the second Jason lost access to his bank accounts. She didn't even wait a full 24 hours before blocking his number and deleting all traces of him from social media. At 3 p.m. Jason showed up at my house, looking like absolute hell. His usual cocky bravado? Gone. Instead, he had the nerve to look pathetic. Emily, please. Can we just talk? I leaned against my doorframe, arms crossed. Talk? Sure. Do you need me to explain how fraud works? Or maybe you need a refresher on how marriage vows don't include embezzling money for your mistress. Jason actually looked hurt. I messed up, he said, voice strained. But we can fix this. I still love you. I laughed. I actually laughed in his face. You love me. I repeated. Jason, you stole our money to pay for another woman's rent. It wasn't like that, he said quickly. Oh. I raised an eyebrow. So the $7,800 diamond necklace wasn't a gift for her? Jason flinched. Emily, And the fake charity? The one you used to commit fraud. I tilted my head. Tell me, Jason, what was that exactly? A fun little side project. Jason looked away, jaw clenched. You ruined me, he muttered. I smiled. No, Jason. You ruined yourself. And then? I shut the door in his face. So here's where we are, Reddit. Jason is under investigation for fraud. The IRS is involved. His mistress left him. He's broke. Time divorcing him. And me? I am thriving. Tomorrow, I meet with Melissa to finalize the divorce proceedings. After that, I'm booking a solo vacation. Because Jason might be facing jail time, but I have never been happier. It's been one hell of a ride, but I finally feel like I can breathe again. The Jason saga is nearing its final chapter, and while I fully intend to watch him go down in flames, my focus has shifted. To me. For the first time in years, I am putting myself first. And let me tell you, it feels so damn good. But first, let me give you the delicious details of what's been happening. 2 days ago, I walked into Melissa's office for what was supposed to be a straightforward divorce meeting. Jason was already there. He looked rough, sunken eyes, unshaven, like a man whose life was currently being steamrolled. Which, to be fair, it was. The second I sat down, he started in with his usual bullshit. Emily, let's be reasonable. Melissa didn't even let him finish. She slammed the divorce papers onto the table. Sign. Jason's jaw clenched. These terms are insane. You're taking everything. I smiled. No, Jason. I'm taking what's mine. And Reddit, let's go over exactly what's mine, shall we? 100% of our remaining joint assets. Since Jason was caught committing fraud, the judge ruled in my favor. The house, which Jason had to vacate immediately. A zero spousal support for him because LMAO. Or a clause that prevents Jason from ever trying to come after me financially. In short, I won. Jason huffed and puffed, but at this point, he had no cards left to play. His lawyer nudged the papers toward him. Sign it, she said, looking utterly defeated. And guess what? He did. With a scowl, with a clenched jaw, but he signed. Melissa picked up the papers, grinning. Pleasure doing business. And just like that, now let's talk about Jason's rapid downward spiral. After the divorce was finalized, his world imploded. 1. His assets. Frozen. The fraud case is ongoing, and the IRS is breathing down his neck. He's completely broke and can't even access his personal accounts. 2. His career. Gone. Turns out, getting arrested for fraud isn't great for your resume. His former company cut ties immediately. No job, no money, no options. 3. His social circle. Poof. His friends, aka the same people who laughed at my jokes but secretly sided with Jason when he was cheating on me, gone. 4. Lauren? Well, this is my favorite part. I found out through Sarah's endless network of spies that Lauren has been dating some finance bro. And Jason? He's currently sleeping on his cousin's couch and working at a fast food place to make ends meet. I would pay actual money to see him in a drive-through headset. Would you like fries with that, Jason? Meanwhile, let's talk about me. Because I am thriving. First, I booked a solo vacation to a beautiful secluded beach. Just me, a stack of books, and unlimited cocktails. And while I was sitting there, toes in the sand, sipping a piña colada, I realized something. I had spent so many years making myself small so Jason could feel big. I spent so much time being the understanding wife, while he lied, cheated, and stole from me. But now I answer to no one but myself. And I'm just getting started. After getting home from my vacation, I decided it was time for a fresh start. Step 1. Redecorating the house. I took everything that reminded me of Jason's existence and threw it in the trash. Step 2. Reconnecting with friends. I hadn't realized how much Jason had isolated me from people who actually cared about me. Not anymore. I hosted a girls' night at my place and spent the entire night laughing, drinking wine, and feeling so damn happy. Step 3. Career glow-up. With all the nonsense I'd put up with, I had been stuck in a rut professionally. No more. I reached out to an old colleague who'd once offered me a job, and guess what? It's mine now. Higher pay, better benefits, and no Jason sucking the life out of me. Jason always thought he was the smartest guy in the room. He thought he could lie, cheat, and manipulate his way through life. But in the end, he lost everything. And me? I won. Because revenge isn't just about watching your enemy fall. It's about rising so high they can never reach you again. This is it. The final update. It's been a wild ride, and I cannot thank you all enough for following along. Your support, your comments, your absolute pettiness on my behalf has given me life. And now, the Jason era is officially over. Let's get into it. Divorce? Finalized. Jason's life? Ruined. But there was one last battle to fight. The fraud case. Now Jason, being the absolute moron that he is, decided to plead not guilty to financial misconduct. Despite the bank records. Despite the fake charity. Despite the IRS literally breathing down his neck. He actually thought he could talk his way out of this. But the thing about facts, they don't care about Jason's bullshit. I showed up to court dressed in my best power suit, feeling like a main character in a legal drama. Jason, on the other hand, he looked terrible. No expensive suit. No cocky smirk. Just a man who had lost everything. His lawyer tried to argue that it was all a misunderstanding. That Jason never intended to commit fraud. That he was just moving money around for tax purposes. The judge was not having it. After 2 hours of watching Jason squirm, the court ruled against him. Jason was found guilty of financial misconduct. He was fined a disgusting amount of money that he does not have. He was sentenced to community service and probation, with the possibility of jail time if the IRS finds more dirt on him. Basically, Jason is screwed. And me? I walked out of that courtroom lighter than I've ever felt. Well, let's take stock, shall we? Jason is broke. Jason is jobless. Jason is legally screwed. His mistress dumped him. He is currently crashing on his cousin's couch. And last I heard, he's working part-time at a car wash. I honestly could not have written a better ending. And me? I have everything I need. I got the house. I got a better job. I have real friends again. I have a future that is 100% mine. And the best part? I don't have to deal with Jason's dumbass ever again. Jason thought he could lie and cheat his way through life. He thought he could steal from me and get away with it. He thought I would always be the quiet, forgiving wife. He was wrong, because here's what he never understood. I am so much stronger than he ever gave me credit for. And now, I am finally free. So if you take anything from my story, let it be this. Never let someone make you feel small. Never let someone steal your light. And never ever let a Jason get away with anything. I'm raising a glass tonight to closure, karma, and my new Jason-free life. I won. And I am never looking back.